Okay, lastly, let's talk about signaling by price and the specialization together. So basically, the high type firm is going to be different from the low type in two different dimensions. The market entry decision will be different and the price will be different. So now the question is about, can specialization be some kind of a tool to signal the quality? Okay, so this is a second tool that may be used to differentiate the high type firm from the low type firm. Here we say also because there is still a pricing decision. So in any case, you need to price. So there is no way not to use price as a signaling device. Okay, so the question now is about, I want to look at a separating equilibrium. And I want to see that in this separating equilibrium, the high type firm only specializes in category 1, and the low quality firm serves in both categories. Okay, I want to ask whether a separating equilibrium like this would exist. In this case, I need to define another profit function for the high type firm. This is for the high type firm to specialize in only market 1. So that's why this profit function has only one term, which is the margin, the demand in market 1 and the margin in market 1. Okay, here we can see that for the high quality firm who only specialize in category 1, the cost function does not have that alpha. So that's one kind of difference. And then later we're going to see that when this is compared to the low quality firms, we're going to also see that they have a difference in the second market, because here we don't have the second market term. Okay, so we're asking a separating equilibrium regarding this profit function. Then now we're going to consider a separating equilibrium for the high quality firm to do this. Here I want to set and choose for a price so that I can maximize my single market total profit. And this particular thing should be not so good for the low quality firm. Okay, the low quality firm may still set its price for, oh sorry, this should be P2. Okay, this one should be 2. The low quality firm may still choose the two equilibrium prices in the multi-entry situation. Instead, he may choose to mimic the high quality firm. And then I want the mimicking result to be worse than not mimicking. So this is the IC constraint for the low type. Similarly, I have an IC constraint for the high type. And the interesting thing is that here it is comparing doing this specialization with respect to choosing multiple entries. Okay, choosing multiple entries. This is the total profit when the high quality firm choose to enter both market and choose the separating equilibrium prices, as we solved in the previous video. So these are the IC constraints that are required for a separating equilibrium. With IC constraint for the low type firm would find it suboptimal to mimic the high type one. And for the second one, the high type firm would find it suboptimal to serve both categories under signaling with prices alone. So the high type firm is considering, oh, okay, I have several options. I may mimic the low quality one. I may signal only with price. I may signal with both price and specialization. We already know that under that separating equilibrium, signaling through prices only is better than mimicking the low type. So now we only need to compare specialization and entering two markets. Okay, we hope that this is some possible outcome of equilibrium. So we ask whether this is possible, whether it is feasible or optimal for the high quality firm to serve only one market. Okay. We also have a problem for the low quality firm, but basically it's just the opposite, the reversed one. So let's omit that. So now note that due to the second constraint here, the firm would earn more by using specialization as another signaling device. This is required. Otherwise, the firm is not going to do that. Okay? Even though you have multiple devices in front of you, if using only one is the best, you're not going to use both. So we need to have this particular constraint for specialization to exist in as a separating equilibrium. Okay? But of course, we are just comparing separating equilibria, this one and that one. We are not comparing that with pooling equilibria. Okay? And that's not needed when we are talking about separating equilibriums. And then, again, that problem can be solved with a lot of derivations. But if we only want to focus on the result is here. There indeed exists a separating equilibrium in which the high-quality firm specializes and upward distorts the price. The interesting thing is that the upward distortion is going to be smaller than that when signaling only through prices. And finally, the low-quality firm will still enter both categories and choose its first best prices. Okay? So we immediately see a few things. First is that the low-quality firm will still stick to the first best price, the first best solution, which is intuitive. And the second, it's possible to specialize and upward distort the price in a separating equilibrium. So price and specialization can together signal quality. And then lastly, we want to ask why the upward distortion becomes smaller. Well, the answer again can be understood. When we just use price to discourage a low quality firm from mimicking myself, I need to make my price high, so that the low quality firm find it suboptimal to mimic myself. Okay? When I only have one tool, when I only have price to be the signaling device, I need to make my price quite different from his price so that he does not want to mimic. Okay? But now when I also have specialization as another tool, I know that low quality firm also hates specialization. There is a motivation or there is some force that prevents the low quality firm from mimicking myself, because giving up market 2 is too harmful for the low quality firm. Okay, so in that case, I have two weapons or two devices to discourage that guy from mimicking myself. In that case, if I already do specialization, then the price change or the price difference need not to be that much. So that explains the smaller upward distortion on prices. Okay, and that's the main result of this paper. We may use specialization to signal our quality, and that's additional to using price only. When we use specialization together, we don't need that high price difference. Okay, lastly, you may want to ask yourself about when will we see specialization? When is this result more likely to occur? Some results are here. For example, when the market of the second category is small, that is when delta is small, which is reasonable. If your second market is so small, then there is a reason to specialize. When price sensitivity is high, so that a large price distortion is going to be too harmful, so that you want to specialize to decrease the amount of price distortion. Or finally, when consumers are not confident about the quality, that is when lambda is small. When consumers by default are not confident about the quality, when consumers are by default pessimistic, then you need to strengthen their belief in multiple ways. So you need to use all the devices you have to make things possible. Okay? So when lambda is small, we can show that it is indeed optimal or more likely for the high type firm to specialize because he need to use both devices to signal. Okay? That's some result that may be shown. Okay, that's the end of this lecture. Thank you.